Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. Well, speaking of which, I can show you this other thing that I made called Camera Head. So it's pretty much another way of doing a camera rig, first-person camera rig thing. But might be easier for some people, I don't know. And also it has the benefit of, and brace yourselves, shaky cam. And now I'm like walking around and stuff, and it's got all the normal like stuff like lean and stuff, and wobbly jumps and all that affects it. So the basic idea is use a puppet as the rig instead of making a separate rig and teleporting it to the puppet. And it uses a lot of similar methods to a normal rig. So like if you're familiar with those, it shouldn't be too hard to understand. And if you're not familiar with those, it's a tiny bit simpler. So we start with a normal puppet, and we'll remove, I'll just remove these two because they can cause problems, but I'll leave the other stuff there. And I want to remove the walk because we're going to be adding our own manual walk so that it works with this setup. So I'll make a chip with all of our camera stuff in it. One thing we'll need to do though is put a camera in the actual head of the puppet. So we'll get a camera, just move around, and then we'll scope it in to the puppet head, and we want it to be aligned nicely. So I'll just scope out again and use the grid and use L1 and triangle to make sure it's aligned to kind of the center of the puppet like that. And now we can go back in and grab the camera and press triangle, which will snap it to the orientation and of the grid and to one of the nearby dots. And now I can put it in the head and make it smaller. And I like to kind of adjust it down just a tiny bit like that, so it feels like it's in the eyes kind of area. And then you make these parts invisible that you don't want to see. And one last trick, and then to see those again, we'll turn off preview invisibility. So this stuff will still be invisible during play, but you'll be able to see them as the editor. And we'll put that into cut mode, but also we want to wire something into the power, and that will just make sure it stays active and won't accidentally become inactive. So let's just see what that does. So it's kind of a bit drunk because it's actually trying to look at the imp. So if I go out of here and just play time, you can see it's trying to look at the imp, and that's what's happening. So if we turn that feature off, auto look. So now it's just normal, and we can't move or anything, and we can't look around because we're using that that camera in the head. Oh yeah, we need to turn on force possession because we can't actually see this puppet to press R2 on it to possess it, so we'll have to auto possess. We also want to turn down the turn down the motion sensor movement so that when we tilt the controller nothing happens. So first I'll make it so that we can walk around with a advanced mover. And the advanced mover we want to be local space. So if that's off and we are now looking over here, Z will be pointing over here. But then when we're here, then Z is pointing in front of us. So we want that to change with us as we move around like this. Y is backwards, so I'll just adjust that gizmo. Oh, so it's in front. So we'll make X right and Y forwards. So if we had just X, now it will be moving, and we need more strength. That's something to be aware of. Puppets are hard to move, so you have to give it high strength for anything to happen. So now it's moving off to the right, and we'll up the damping as well. We don't want to have any damping in the Z, which is the jump direction. Cool. So now we'll get our controller, and we'll need a couple of things. So we'll use a node over here to wire into, and we'll use the local left stick, which means it's just left, down, up, right. It doesn't matter what orientation the camera is, which will mess with the left stick normal output. So we'll just use the left stick local and the right stick local. So we want our left stick to go into this advanced mover somehow to get us to move in the right direction. So let's split. You see how the cable has multiple wires in it with different colors. That means it's a fat wire, and that means you can split it to get those individual values out of here. So now we have the red one and the green one, and that has a red one and a green one all coming down the same wire. So if we now wire that into X and that into Y, okay, it's just really slow, it is working. Yeah, if we just put this onto a remote control, you can see what's going on. So as I push right, it's setting this to 1, but the actual distance is 0.1 meters, because you're setting like an internal value, and then this is displaying the actual meters in the scene value. So if we change this to 1 meter and that to 1 meter, then we can use L1 and X on these to change it into the X, which is modulate, which means it's multiplying whatever this is by 1 meter per second. So let's see what that does. So now it's moving 1 meter per second in the directions, and up and down is inverted. So I'll just change Y to be negative Y. And now I can move forwards, backwards, left and right. But we want to move a bit faster than that because that's really slow. So we'll just multiply this whole thing by whatever speed we want, whatever maximum speed we want. So we'll use a value slider so we can easily set that. And then we'll multiply the fat wire by this speed, so that from X you get positive and negative 1, or less if you're just pushing it a little bit, and the same with Y. So we're multiplying that positive or negative 1 to positive or negative 4.3, for example. Once we multiply it, and then we put that into there, and it all works the same from here on. So now we've got a maximum speed we can set very easily in shaky cam mode. Now let's do the right stick, which will be looking around. So let's put that down there. So for this, we're going to actually animate the upper body from here down, or here up. So we'll kind of animate it so it's like looking down like that. Let's turn that off again. Like looking down at the toes when we're looking all the way down, and same for looking up, we'll have it leaning back and so on. So let's make a timeline, and we'll use beats mode. So we'll click on the clock time, and now we have these extra columns, and it makes it a little easier to work with. And now we have like a central column, and it will just snap to it like that. And we'll have that just set it to, I'll just use the grid to make sure I don't move it. So I'll just tap it with L2, each of the parts that we'll be messing with, like that. And then we'll have a keyframe for all the way, looking all the way down. So I'll use a precise move, so you can rotate it like this. I'm holding L2 and just tilting the controller. So let's just do that a bit at a time, like that. And it might look a little bit weird like that, but we'll test it and figure it out. Then we'll have one for looking up. As far up as we want to go. The cool thing about this is you can, if you're holding like something that you want to aim in the same way, then you can adjust these as well. So actually, I'll just have a test keyframe over here. So if we were in the middle, we can have the arm pointing out like that. And if we leave that on, we'll use L1 and X to turn on blends between these. And now if I'll just put it onto normal mode again so we can get a smoother animation. So now that arm that we positioned will follow perfectly with however we're looking. So when we go down here, actually the arm needs to come down even more, so you could do that and rotate that down some more, stuff like that. We won't need that for this thing, but that's the kind of thing you can do. Cool. So I'll just put this onto loop and see how it looks. That seems to work pretty well. So we want to control what point on this timeline we're at based on pushing the right stick up and down. So let's split this fat wire as well. And there's a trick where you can actually tell the timeline what part of the timeline you want to be at by wiring in a percentage. So I can change this and it will just go to that point. So if we have a way of changing this over time by like holding up and then it will slowly go up, for example, then we can wire that in. We can do that with a timer. So if we set this, normally that just goes up to the target time and that's about it. If you put it onto speed mode, then we can wire in a value of how fast we want the timer to go. So if we put it at a very small, it will go very slow. And if we put it on 1, it will be 1 second per 1 second of real time. And then we give it a negative value, then we can go back down. So let's put this on to about 1 second. And then put this into the middle because we want to use the middle of the timeline so that it goes to there. And then we'll wire the timer output into the playhead, and now it's gone to 50%. The timer output is the percentage through of the current time out of the target time. Yeah, but now we can send it up to 1 or -1, and it will affect the timer. It will increase over time or decrease over time. So if we wire the Y into the start timer and push up or push down, now it's like looking up or down. So if we could look over here, so depending on how we're pushing the stick, it's going up or down. We actually need it to go the other way around, so let's just swap these keyframes over. Cool, and then we'll test. So I'll push up and push down, and there's a little bit of like strange, it kind of seems to get slower at the top and bottom. That's because it has smoothing on the keyframes. So I'll just double tap X to select them all, tweak them and turn off smoothing, and that will just have a linear move all the way up. That sort of thing. Cool. So now we can look up and down and we can move around. And now the last thing to do is left and right. And that will be done with a simple rotator. So we have a rotator, and we just wire that into the rotation speed, and that automatically uses the modulate because this has a value in here, and it will go 180 degrees per second around. So we'll just have to adjust that so that it roughly matches the up and down. Put the rotation strength and damping up, and let's see how that's the wrong way around, but it's working. So left and right seem to be swapped, so we'll just set this to negative 180 and that will flip it back again. So up and down seems a bit slow, so then we can just adjust the timer. And it's best to use an even number of in the decimals so that you can get exactly halfway. Still a little bit slow. Oh, it's not bad. Yeah, it's still like lean and stuff on it, so what I'll do is so the actual rig is now kind of done, but now we want to be able to adjust those, make it less wobbly and stuff. So I'll use a keyframe to do this so that we have the original flopping about kind of settings as well. So we want to have no lean into strength, and lean lag, and sway and lumberingness, and springiness, and breathiness you might leave in, you might not. I'd prefer to just put them all off. And yeah, let's just see how that looks now. And you can just like adjust this to taste, so we're still getting some like some wobbliness. Oh yeah, we want to turn off these poses. So the poses affect how it looks when it's running and so on. So if we go into the running pose, it's actually hunched forwards, for example. So where's that keyframe? Oh, we need to turn that on as well. That'll help. So if we turn off the poses and the jump animation, oh yeah, also there's back stiffness. If we put that all the way up, then it will keep us nice and straight. Cool. So now we have a pretty reasonable first person rig. And we can see the head hasn't got any shadow because we made it invisible, but we can scope in and tweak the sculpt and make it so that it casts shadows even when it's not visible, and do that same thing for the neck. And now we can see the head in the shadow. And we move over the stuff, and then this is just a little switcher set up so that we can, in the scene, kind of go over to it and turn it on and off. So let's use a not gate to turn off the non-shaky cam. Okay. Cool. So now if we go over here, we can turn on shaky cam. And we've got a bit of breathing, and it's kind of all wobbly, and when we jump it's got that. Let's just try out the jump without shaky cam. So it's all very like nice and not wobbly. Yeah, so it's like a pretty quick, it's like a medium quick way of making a first person camera rig. I'll just turn that on again because it's fun. Whoa. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.